It's Father's Day, beautiful afternoon. Father's Day in the year of our Lord, 2010. We're standing here in front of the United States Capitol, and what we see in front of us is one of the three branches of our Republican form of government, the legislative branch. And there are two houses. Over here you have the Senate with 100 members, and over here you have the House of Representatives with 435, plus 3 non-voting delegates. I think that's correct. You have Guam, Puerto Rico, and the District of Columbia. Now, we have a bicameral legislature. We also have a bicameral judiciary, but most people don't understand it that way. We, the people, are the lower house of the bicameral judiciary when we serve in a jury. The Founding Fathers intended the jury to be to the judges like the House is to the Senate, the larger body. A jury is at least 5 people, but in Virginia at least 7 people in a civil trial and 12 people in a criminal trial. And one of the things that's interesting is that the Bureau of Justice Statistics here in Washington, D.C. revealed that 63% of the time the judge rules for the plaintiff. That suggests the possibility of a bias, especially when you know that the jury rules for the plaintiff 49% of the time. Well, 49-50%, that's within the margin of error, but 13 or 14% of a judge is not within the margin of error. It clearly shows a bias of the judge. Now, people ask me, well, what are those cases? And right offhand, I can't remember. It's several years ago. I would ask, okay, is that civil cases or criminal cases? I'd be willing to, or I'd be wanting to know if by chance it's even worse in criminal cases. Because when the public prosecutor comes before the judge, how many times does the judge find the accused innocent? Or, excuse me, not innocent, not guilty? I don't have those statistics, but I would guess that probably 75-85% of the time the judge finds the accused guilty when the public prosecutor has got a case against a citizen. And I just spoke a few minutes ago about a situation in Fairfax, Virginia, where a 76-year-old man who spent a lifetime in service to his country was assaulted by a younger couple, 40 and 47 years old, and they were refusing to release to him the documents. There's all sorts of Supreme Court cases that says that you are supposed to receive exculpatory evidence. You're supposed to receive evidence of what is going to be used to prosecute you so that you can prepare your defense. But in Fairfax, Virginia, they've got a form that says it can be done 30 minutes before trial. And that's absurd. Who can even think 30 minutes before trial? You've got to analyze that thing and write something. If you're in the courtroom already, when you get this, where's your word processor? Where's your internet access to be able to research the laws, to be able to talk to different people? You cannot do it in 30 minutes. That's a total violation of due process that we have right here in Virginia. And it's just an absolute atrocity what is happening in the courts of Virginia. Now, Virginia led the nation in the founding of this nation. Founding fathers: Washington, Jefferson, Richard Henry Lee, Patrick Henry, Thomas Nelson, many great men. They must be turning over in their graves seeing what the modern public servants and elected servants are doing to the justice system in Virginia. It's a sad, sad day. But nationwide, in the past 10, 15 years, there's been a 24% decline in jury trials. In Virginia, it's been 69.5% in the past 9 years, according to the State of the Judiciary report by the Chief Justice of Virginia, Chief Justice Hassel. That is an outrage. It's kind of like if you're a coal miner and you have a canary and the canary stops singing because there's no oxygen in the cave. When you stop having jury trials, there's no oxygen of liberty in the courtrooms. There's no oxygen of justice in the courtrooms when you don't have jury trials anymore. So I encourage you to look at nojury.nojustice.org, and you can see a graph that shows this precipitous decline in justice in Virginia. Patrick Henry and Thomas Jefferson, who didn't always see eye to eye, would be together outraged about the gross injustice in Virginia. And it is my job as a journalist for justice to speak up and research and to write and speak and tell my fellow Americans about the sad state of the courts of Virginia. I also witnessed a case where there was a man who brought a suit that showed that 2 city attorneys in Alexandria had violated Virginia law. And his father had been a Harvard-trained lawyer and told him not to go into the law. Now that gives you some indication of how bad the law is in America today when a father tells his son not to go into the practice of law. A Harvard graduating lawyer tells his son not to go into law. But I had the privilege of being in the courtroom that day as a court reporter. And I saw him do a splendid job, Bill Walters do a splendid job going through the notebooks and proving how these 2 city attorneys of Alexandria had violated Virginia law. And I could see where I was sitting each one of the jurors, and I knew they were just about to convict or find these city attorneys guilty of violating Virginia law. And so at the last minute, the lawyer for these city attorneys said, "Motion to strike." And so the judge dismisses the jury into the jury chambers and hears the thing and then dismisses the case, brings the jury back and says, on a procedural motion, the case has been dismissed. We won't need your services anymore. So the jury, after 5 hours of hearing the case, were not able to render a decision. This judge and this lawyer snatched away justice in Alexandria, Virginia. And the same sort of thing has happened in Arlington. The same sort of thing has happened in Winchester. It's happening all over Virginia. I can't speak to all the different places. But the reality is that we citizens have to speak up. And we have to do more than speak up. We have to start voting out members of elected servants who are our Commonwealth attorneys and elected servants in the legislature if they do not remove judges. The judge in Winchester who compares Jeff Washington to Adolf Hitler, he's got no business on the bench. And if legislators don't have enough gumption to remove him from the bench, so to send the signal to other judges that we are not going to accept this sort of outrageous behavior, then our courts are useless.